Hey everyone, we're here at GLAMbeauty Bar and we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for how to prep for your senior hair and makeup sessions. So we're going to be talking to her about the tips and tricks for how you guys should be prepping before your makeup session. Hey guys, we're here with Becca, who is from GLAMbeauty Bar. So first, give us a little bit of introduction of what GLAMbeauty Bar is, where you guys are located, that sort of thing.
So we are a premier hair and makeup lounge in Vancouver. We have a downtown location and an East Vancouver location. We do anything from lash extensions to full body waxing. We do airbrush tanning. We do hair and makeup, obviously, for Sean, and
Yeah, you guys get like the best of the best. So every senior that books with me gets complimentary hair and makeup done by these guys. Becca's one of the lead senior makeup artists, so you guys get to work with her a lot of the time, where you guys can have the option to do in salon or also bring her on location. And one of the big things that seniors always ask me is, what's the difference between pro hair and makeup and just doing it yourself? So give us a little bit of insight into the differences, especially when it comes to photos.
So definitely a lot of the times when you're doing your makeup yourself, yes, you might be doing a great job for every day and it looks beautiful in person, but it's not going to translate as well on camera. So you need a little bit more pigment, you need more, basically more coverage. You're going to be wearing a little bit more makeup than what you're normally comfortable wearing for it to look best on camera. We don't specifically have you come in and like put as much makeup as possible on you just because. We're doing it so that it looks best for Sean on camera and it looks best in person out in all the light, because a lot of the times when you're shooting with Sean specifically, you're out in the bright sunlight. So if you're wearing makeup that isn't super pigmented or isn't really there, you're not going to see it on camera. And then when Sean goes to edit it, you're going to look like you have no makeup on.
Yeah, and especially like when it comes to contouring and stuff, if you guys, it might be a little bit more than you're used to.
Exactly.
But when we go out on location, we're shooting with such different light than you see in person.
And then the reflector too makes a huge difference, because once that reflector gets pushed on your face, it's literally like you have nothing on your face. Even when sometimes when we go outside, you're like, whoa, okay, there's really not much there. So that's why we come, and when we're on location, it's the best too, because we have our kit with us. We can touch you up and make it best that it's gonna look.
Totally. So one of the other things that seniors always ask me is what they need to be doing for prepping their hair and skin prior to coming in for their hair and makeup. So what are 2 or 3 of your best like skin tips or hair preps?
So you definitely want to come in with clean, dry hair, emphasis on the dry. Saves us time, keeps you on time for your shooting session with Sean. It doesn't take away your time when he comes in. He doesn't have to wait as long. You guys can get on the shoot a lot quicker, which is always great. As far as clean, we ask that you have washed hair the night before or that morning if you are super greasy. But again, we need to make sure that the hair is dry. Don't really necessarily worry about product, because we're going to put all the good products in your hair. That's why you're coming to us. We've got all the goods. And then as far as skin, we want to make sure that you're exfoliating and moisturizing, especially with that week or 2 weeks before your session. Masking is always a great idea as well, but just definitely making sure that you're exfoliating, make sure you're moisturizing, have a good little regimen. It's not like you have to go buy 10 million things. Just have a good, simple regimen that you're doing. That way your skin's nice and prepped for us. That way we can make sure that your makeup looks perfect.
Another thing is like, don't try any new skin prep programs prior to your senior photos, because you don't want to know, like, you don't know how it's going to break out. I always tell my seniors to stay away from products that have salicylic acid in them.
Yeah.
So if you look on the back, that just tends to just dry out your skin, and it just doesn't look good on photos. Kind of usually creates like a redness to your skin. So that's usually something I tell my seniors to stay away from too when they're prepping.
And that's the same thing too, like he's saying, if you are somewhat acneic, if you're picking at your skin before your session, it's going to actually be harder for us to cover it up. Whereas if you just leave your skin alone, even if you do have a couple breakouts, it's not something to stress out about. We can take care of that, and Sean can also take care of that. But if you're picking at it, it creates a little bit more texture, and texture is harder to cover, and it doesn't look as good on camera.
Yeah, and like if you have a little zit here and there, or even like if you have more kind of progressive acne or anything like that, I'm gonna take care of that in Photoshop for you guys. So literally like that's the least of your worries, and they're gonna do a fantastic job to get you ready so that it looks great even out of camera before I even take it into the editing. Yeah. Another thing that I always tell my seniors is advice about spray tans and tanning. This is a big one to make sure that you guys are happy with your photos.
Yes.
So what's your take on that?
Definitely not being too tan. So a lot of the times, obviously, you're wanting to look as perfect for your senior photos as possible. So a lot of times, you're getting your hair color, your nails done, you're getting waxed, you're getting your spray tan or your bed tanning. The best advice that I can give you is not to be too tan, because when you're too tan, it doesn't look good with makeup, especially now with the trend being really, really highlighted, it doesn't really look as pretty on, and it doesn't really look as good on camera either, especially for people that are really blonde. Although we love to be blonde and tan, who doesn't? It doesn't look as good on camera, and it almost looks muddy, if that makes sense.
And one of the things that's really hard to fix in post is when your skin looks super orange. Traditionally, cameras are going to pick up a lot more of the reds in the skins. And so what's going to happen is if you're super orange in your photos, it's basically, if we can't really take that out, it's just going to result in you either looking orange, or if we do try and take that out, you're going to look a little bit green in your photos, which is not going to look
And
good.
yeah, that's where it comes back to that looking muddy, that kind of green undertone, and you don't want to look muddy in your photos. Another thing too is that a lot of times if you haven't had a spray tan before and then you get it for the first time right before your photos, it's not necessarily the greatest idea, because sometimes if you don't know what you're doing with your aftercare of your tan, you could have a lot of discoloration along your wrists and your feet, and that would make Sean's job a lot harder, or he might not be able to edit it out. So again, the best way to do it is to get that spray tan before, at least a couple weeks before, just to try it out and see how your skin reacts, and then get one right before your photos.
Yeah, sure.
It's definitely worth having a slight trial run versus having that and being like, well, what do I do now? It's my senior photos and now I look like this. So
the same thing goes for, like, if you guys are outside, even in the sun. Usually what I say is a week to 4 days before your session is kind of when I say stop doing that, just because if you guys do get a little bit red, it gives it a little bit of time to recover. The last thing that you want is to be peeling in your senior photos, like on your shoulders and all over, just because it's not going to look good. Editing might not be possible for it, and while we're going to try and cover it up and with makeup as best as possible, it doesn't always work out. So that's something I always recommend, is stay out of the sun or direct sun for as long before your session as possible.
And definitely different strap lines too. I've noticed that over the last few years. Is just, obviously you girls are in sports and all sorts of other things, so if you're wearing a tank top outside, you're gonna have tank top lines, and then you're wearing a strapless dress or some fun cute little top in your pictures, and you're just gonna have really harsh lines, and even a spray tan isn't gonna necessarily fix those. So you wanna be really conscious of what you're wearing in the sun prior to your shoot.
Totally. And then the last thing is, let's talk about, I always tell my seniors to come with a Pinterest board with like 3 to 5 pins for hair and makeup looks. What kind of makes your job easiest when they're pinning and creating those Pinterest
So
boards?
definitely girls that are choosing to have us come on location with you, I would definitely have a few more hair looks. That's going to aid, just even if you have a couple ideas. If you're not sure which outfit you want to wear it with, that's why we're here, and that's why Sean's here. We can kind of aid you in deciding which hair to do with which look. And then you get a little bit more variety in your photos, which is always great. Also being open to different lip colors. It's not like you have to, like if you're a girl that loves a good nude lip, we have so many different kinds of nude lips. It's just going to make, again, it's going to give you variety in your looks.
Yep.
And then for Pinterest boards, it's always best when you're coming in for your makeup to have at least 3 photos. No more than 3 actually, because it just gives you too much leeway on which way to go. We can generally pick up with just those 3 photos what you're wanting to look like. Even bringing, like, if you have a specific look that you like for your brows, and like you are very specific on what you want your brows to look like every single day, bringing a photo of yourself so that we can see how you usually wear your brows is always a great idea.
And then one of the things that we always make sure is, seniors are always so hesitant. They're like, I've never had my makeup done before. We're gonna make sure that you guys look awesome and are super comfortable in how you look, and that basically Becca's job is just to make you guys look like the best version of you. We don't wanna change how you look. We don't wanna change how you usually do your makeup. So bringing those reference photos is super important. And then throughout the entire process, I'm gonna be there, so you guys can always say, hey, if I'm not happy with my brows or the contouring's a little bit too much, well, we can always adjust that before we get out on location, so that you guys are as happy as can be when we actually get out to do your photos.
Yeah, and it's definitely like one of those things too, like we're here to be your hype girl. So like when we go on location with you,
I'm gonna be your hype guy though.
Yeah. Sean will be your hype guy, but we'll be your hype girl. So yeah, that's why we go on location with you. We're here to make it as fun as possible and make you feel as pretty as possible. This is a really big investment for your family, and obviously these photos are gonna last forever, so you want them to be the best. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have comments or questions, leave those down in the comment box below. We're gonna try and answer as many as we can. If you guys also have any questions, you can always DM us on Instagram at Sean Brown Productions or at GLAMbeauty Bar. Is there a dot in there?
no.
Okay, cool. Just at GLAMbeauty Bar. And we can always answer any questions that you guys have before hair and makeup for your senior photos. So thanks for watching.